Hey folks, good afternoon. It's the Patriotic Goomba. For those of you that have been to my channel before, thank you. For those of you that might be new and are viewing me for the first time, welcome. So today I want to make a video, and it's a video I've been wanting to make for a long time. This is a video that takes no sides except for one, and that's the side of the truth. I don't care what side of the fence you stand on, you deserve to hear the truth. There's no conjecture, just simply the facts. I truthfully do. I wish I could make better videos and be better with the editing stuff so I could, add videos into this, into this conversation that can further illustrate the points that I'm trying to make here. I also don't want to make this situation as a lighthearted situation either. During the course of this events, beforehand, a young woman, she lost her life, Miss Heather Heyer, and it's a tragic event, no matter, how you want to shape or question anything like that. But this is something that I think everyone should hear, listen to, and read for themselves, and come up with a decision on your own. But with that being said, this right now, it's a time to grab your children, your friends, your family, gather them around the phone or the computer, whichever you may be watching it, and do it like we used to do around the fireplace. Please, by all means, share this video, send it to people that you think this may benefit them in some ways. I'm also going to have a copy of the transcripts that I'm about to be reading off of from April 15th, 2017. It's from a press conference in which a lot of this was quoted from, but was given zero context about what the quotes were provided. We're going to hear those contexts. We're going to hear where it all began. And where is that? Where President Donald J. Trump, was being referred to a racist and a Nazi and all those other terms that have been thrown towards his way and towards his supporters. Now this right here in front of us, this is an actual transcript. This transcript is from the entire press conference. This is a copy from the LA Times. So it's not a right-leaning Republican. This is actual quotations from the press conference where a lot of these good and bad people on both sides came from. This is the quotes. This is where it is. This might be somewhat of a long video, but trust me when I tell you, it's worth hearing, it's worth watching, and I will provide a link. I'm going to a link in the description of the actual press conference as well. All right, so let's begin. The top of the page. On Tuesday, President Trump took questions from journalists after the discussion about infrastructure. What follows is a transcript of the questions and answer session provided by the Federal News Service. So this is official. Question: why do you think the CEOs are leaving your manufacturing council? Trump: because they're not taking their job seriously, as it pertains to this country. We want jobs manufacturing in this country. If you look at this, at some of the people that you're talking about, they're outside the country. They're having a lot of their products made outside. If you look at Merck, as an example, take a look at where. Excuse me. Just a little addendum. All of these excuse me's, inaudibles, crosstalks, all these things that you're about to be reading in here, when he is trying to basically talk, this is when a lot of these journalists are basically over-speaking him, jumping in, throwing in their questions, having absolutely no respect for the dignity of this office. Now let's continue. I will go back to the previous sentence. If you look at Merck as an example, take a look at where, excuse me, take a look at where their products is made. It's made outside of our country. We want products made in this country. Now I have to tell you some of the folks that will leave. They're leaving out of embarrassment because they make their products outside. And I've been lecturing them, including the gentleman that you're referring to, about you have to bring it back to this country. You cannot do it necessarily in Ireland, as all of these were other places. You have to bring this work back to this country. That is where I want. I want manufacturing, and I want it back in the United States so that American workers can benefit. Crosstalk. Again, crosstalk. That's when the journalists are trying to throw in their own questions. Question. Wait so long? Question mark inaudible. I didn't wait long. I didn't wait long. Crosstalk. I didn't wait long. This is when they're throwing. This is when the questioning just began, with these journalists. This was supposed to be a press conference about infrastructure, guys. It had nothing to do with what the journalists were trying to distract them by. Excuse me. Trump. I didn't wait long. I didn't wait long. Crosstalk. Trump. I didn't wait long. I wanted to make sure, unlike most politicians, that what I said was correct, not to make quick statements. The statements I made on Saturday, the first statement, was a fine statement, but you don't make statements that direct unless you know the facts. It takes a little while to get the facts. You still don't know the facts, and it's a very, very important process to me, and it's a very important statement. So I don't want to go quickly and just make a statement for the sake of making a political statement. I want to know the facts. If you go back to my crosstalk, I brought it. Question. What did you, inaudible, Trump? I said it on, remember this, Saturday. We condemn in the strongest possible terms the egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. It is no place in America. And when I went on from there, now, here's the thing. As to, excuse me, they're over speaking him again. As to, excuse me. Take it nice and easy. Here's the thing. When I make a statement, I like to be correct, and I want the facts. This event just happened. In fact, a lot of the event didn't even happen yet. As we were speaking, this event just happened. Before I make the statement, I need the facts. So I don't want to rush into a statement. So making this statement when I made it was excellent. In fact, the young woman who I hear is a fantastic young woman, and it was on NBC. Her mother wrote me and said through, I guess, Twitter, social media, the nicest things. I was very appreciative of that. I hear she was actually an incredible young woman. But her mother on Twitter thanked me for what I said. And honestly, if the press were not fake and it were honest, the press would have said what I said was very nice. But unlike you and unlike the media, before I make a statement, I like to know the facts. Again, they're over-speaking this man. Trump. They don't. Crosstalk. Trump. How about a couple of crosstalk? How about a couple of infrastructure questions? Crosstalk. Question. Mr. Trump, was it terrorism? That event, was it terrorism? Trump. Say what? Because people are screaming at him. They're screaming questions, throwing things towards his way. So, question. Mr. Trump, was it terrorism? That event, was it terrorism? Trump. Say what? Question. The CEO of Walmart said you missed an inaudible opportunity to help bring the country together. Did you? Trump. Not at all. I think this country, look, you take a look. I've created over 1 million jobs since I'm president. The country is booming. The stock market is setting records. We have the highest employment rate we've ever had in the history of our country. We're doing record business. We have the highest levels of enthusiasm. So the head of Walmart, who I know and is a very nice guy, as making a political statement. I mean, crosstalk. Trump. It is the same way, as you know why, because I want to make sure when I make a statement, the statement is correct. And there was no way of making a correct statement that early. I have seen the facts, unlike a lot of reports, unlike a lot of the reporters. Crosstalk. Trump. I didn't know David Duke was there. They keep throwing this David Duke business at him. And there's actually something I want to make a statement about that after this. I read all this. Trump. I didn't know David Duke was there. I wanted to see the facts. And the facts as they stated coming out were very well stated. In fact, everybody said by Monday, the statement was beautiful. Excuse me. Let me bring that down for you. The statement was beautiful. If he would have made it sooner, that would have been good. I couldn't have made it sooner because I didn't know all the facts. Frankly, people still don't know all the facts. It was very important that, excuse me, it was very important to me to get the facts out and correctly, because it would have made because if I would have made a fast statement, the first statement would have been without knowing much other than what we were seeing. The second statement was made after knowledge. With great knowledge, there is still things, excuse me, there are still things that people don't know. I want to make a statement with knowledge. I wanted to know the facts, okay? Again, all these excuse me's are them trying to cut him off and break up his sentence. Crosstalk. Question. Was it? 2 questions. Was it terrorism? And can you tell us what you're feeling about your crosstalk? Trump. Well, I think the driver of the car is a disgrace to himself, his family, and his country. And that is, again, he's being cut off. And that is, you can call it terrorism. You can call it murder. You can call it whatever you want. I would just call it as the fastest one to... Wait. Sorry. Excuse me about... No, this is my excuse me now. Back to the sentence. You can call it whatever you want. I would just call it as the fastest one to come up with a good verdict. That's what I'd call it. Because there is a question. Is it murder? Is it terrorism? And then you get into the legal semantics, legal semantics. The driver of the car is a murderer. And what he did was horrible, inexcusable thing. Question. Can you tell us how you're feeling about your chief strategist, Mr. Bannon? Can you talk about that? Trump, go ahead. Question. I would echo Maggie's question, Steve Bannon. Trump, I never spoke to Mr. Bannon about it. Question. But can you tell us broadly do you still have confidence in Steve? Well, we'll see. And look, I like Mr. Bannon. He's a friend of mine, but Mr. Bannon came on very late. You know that. I went through 17 senators, governors, and I won all the primaries. Mr. Bannon came on much later than that, and I like him. He's a good man, and he's not a racist. I can tell you that. He's a good person. He's actually very unfair. He's actually gets very unfair press in that regard. But we'll see what happens with Mr. Bannon. But he's a good person, and I think the press treats him, frankly, very unfairly. Question. Do you have confidence in him? Because he has called you to defend your National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, against. Crosstalk. Trump. I've already done it. I did it the last time. Question. And he called on it again, linking this. Trump. Senator McCain? Question mark. Question. The alt-right and Trump. Senator McCain? Question. Do you mean the one who voted against repealing Obamacare? You mean Senator McCain, who voted against us getting good health care? Excuse me. Question. Senator McCain that said that the alt-right is behind these attacks, and he linked the same group of those who perpetrated the attack in Charlottesville. Trump. Well, I don't know. I can tell you, I'm sure Senator McCain must know what he's thinking about, but when you said the alt-right, define alt-right to me. You define it. Go ahead. Question. Well, I think that, Trump. No. Define it for me. Come on, let's go. Define it for me. Question. Senator McCain defined them as the same group. Let me move that up for you. No, define it. Senator McCain defined it as the same group. Trump. Okay. What is the alt-left that came charging in Audible? Excuse me. They're talking over him again. What about the alt-left that came charging at the, as you say, the alt-right? Do they have any semblance of guilt? Crosstalk. Trump. Let me ask you this. What about the facts that they came charging? That they came charging with clubs in their hands and swinging clubs. Do they have any problem? I think they do. Question. Sir, Trump. As far as I'm concerned, that was a horrible, horrible day. Wait a minute. I'm not finished. Crosstalk. I'm not finished. Fake news. That was horrible day. Question. Off mic. Somebody speaking off the mic. Trump. I will tell you something. I watched those very closely, much more closely than you people watched it. And you have, and you had a group of on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent. And nobody wants to say that, but I'll say this right now. You had a group on the other side that came charging in without a permit, and they were very, very violent. Crosstalk. Trump, go ahead. Question. Do you think that the what you call the alt left is the same as neo-Nazis? Trump. These people, all those people, excuse me, I've condemned neo-Nazis, I've condemned many different groups, but not all of these groups were neo-Nazis. Believe me, not all these people were white supremacists at any stretch. Those people were also there because they wanted to protest and taking down the statue of Robert E. Lee. So, excuse me, and you take a look at some of the groups you see, and you know if you were honest reporters, which in many cases you're not. But many of those people that were there to protest the taking down of a statue of Robert E. Lee. So this week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week? Is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You all. You really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop? We're there to protest. Excuse me. Take a look. The night before, they were there to protest the taking down of a statue of Robert E. Lee. Infrastructure questions. Go ahead. Question. Should the statue of Robert E. Lee stay up? Trump. I would say that that's a local town, community, or federal government, depending on where it's located. Question. Are you against the Confederacy? Question. First off, what the hell kind of question is that? Are you against the Confederacy? Are these people out of their freaking minds? Really, think about that one. Question. Are you against the Confederacy? Question. How concerned are you about race relations in America? And do you think that they've gotten worse or better since you took office? Trump. I think they've gotten better or the same. Look, I've been afraid for a long time. And you can ask President Obama about that because he's made speeches about it. But I believe the fact that I brought in, it will be soon millions of jobs. You see where the companies are moving back to this country. I think that there's a government have a tremendous positive impact on race relations. We have companies coming back to this country. We have 2 car companies that we just announced. We have Foxconn in Wisconsin just announced. We have many companies, I said, pouring back into this country. I think it's going to have a huge positive impact on race relations. You know why? It's jobs. What people want now, they want jobs. We want great jobs with good pay, and when we have that, you watch how race relations will be. And I'll tell you, we're spending a lot of money on the inner cities. We're going to fix. We're fixing the inner cities. We're going far more than anybody's done with respect to the inner cities. It's a priority for me, and it's very important. Crosstalk. Question. Mr. President, are you putting what you're calling the alt-left and white supremacists on the same moral plane? Trump. I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side who said a group on the other side You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other side, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible. And it was a horrible thing to watch. But this is another side. There's a group on this side. You can call them the left. You just called them the left. They came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but this is the way it is. Again, crosstalk. Question. On both sides, sir? Crosstalk. Question. You said there was hatred, there was violence on both sides, or crosstalk. Trump. Well, I do. I think the blame, yes. I think the blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think the blame on both sides. And I have to, no doubt about it. You don't have to doubt about it either. Crosstalk. Trump. And. If you reported it accurately, you would say inaudible. Crosstalk. They're talking over him completely. Question. Inaudible. Started this. Inaudible. Charlottesville. They showed up in Charlottesville to protest. Crosstalk. Trump. Excuse me. Inaudible. Themselves. Inaudible. And you have some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group. Excuse me. I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. Let me reread that quote again. Trump. Excuse me. Inaudible. Themselves. Inaudible. And you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group. Excuse me. I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. Crosstalk. George Washington and Robert E. Lee, are they the same? Inaudible. Again, a stupid question. Trump. George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we gonna take down? Excuse me. Are we gonna take down the statues of George Washington? Crosstalk. Trump. How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think, Thomas Jefferson? Do you like him? Crosstalk. Trump. Okay, good. We're gonna take down the statues because he was a major slave owner. Now, are we gonna take down his statue? So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history. You're changing culture. You had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white supremacist nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, okay? And that press had treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group, you also had some fine people, but you had some troublemakers. And you see them come with the black outfits and the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group. Let me reread that once again. Trump. Okay, good. You are gonna take down the statue? Question. Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're gonna take down his statues. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history. You're changing culture. And you had people, and I'm not talking about neo-Nazis and the white supremacists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group, you also had fine people, but you also had troublemakers that you see them come with their black outfits, with the helmets and the baseball bats, and you had a lot of bad people in the other group. Crosstalk. Question. Treated unfairly? Inaudible. You were saying the press had treated white nationalists unfairly? Question mark. Understand what you're saying? Do you understand? Do you guys just? I'm sorry to keep adding into this, but do you guys see how stupid? Like, whatever happened to reading or listening comprehension, comprehending what people are saying? Where the hell did this man say anything that the press were treating the white nationalists unfairly? But I digress. Excuse me. Question. Treated unfairly? Inaudible? You were saying the press has treated the white nationalists unfairly? Inaudible? Understand what you're saying. Trump. No. There was people in that rally that I looked the night before. If you look, there were people protesting very quietly, taking down the statue of Robert E. Lee. I'm sure that in that group there were bad ones. There were some bad ones. The following day, it looked like they had some rough, bad people, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, white nationalists, whatever you want to call them. But you had a lot of people in that group that were there innocently protest very legally protest, because I don't know if you know, but they had a permit. The other group didn't have a permit. So I only tell you this: there was two sides to the story. I thought what took place was horrible, was a horrible moment in this country, a horrible moment. But there are two sides to this country. Does anybody have a final? Doesn't anybody have a? You are. You have an infrastructure. The man is trying to ask questions at that last statement. But again, they're throwing and throwing and throwing things in this man's face. Don't worry, folks. This is the last page over here. Question: what makes you think you can get an infrastructure bill? You don't get health care. You crosstalk Trump. Well, I tell you, we came very close with health care. Unfortunately, John McCain decided to vote against it at the last minute. You'll have to ask John McCain why he did that. But we came very close to health care. We will end up getting health care, but we'll get the infrastructure. And actually, infrastructure is something that I think will have bipartisan support. And I actually think I actually think Democrats will go along with the infrastructure. Crosstalk. Question: Mr. Trump, have you spoke to the family? Have you spoke to the family of the victim in the car? Crosstalk. Trump, I'll be reaching out to them. I'll be reaching out. Question: when will you be reaching out? Trump, I thought that the statement put out, the mother statement, I thought was a very beautiful statement. I must tell you, it was something that I really appreciated. I thought it was terrific. I really, under the kind of stress that she's under, and the heartache that she's under, I thought putting out the statement to me was a total something I wouldn't forget. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, again, our deepest condolences to the family of Miss Heather Heyer, who tragically lost her life in a despicable event that took place. But there's a lot more to this story than a lot of people are basically trying to say. Guys, this man has, to use their terms, disavowed any of these quote-unquote racist, Nazis, whatever you want to say and call it. They continuously call this man our president, all of our presidents. Even if you dislike him, he's still your president. You're in this country, he's your president, like it or not. They continuously call this man, I've even heard on regular, mainstream news, call him worse than Hitler. How many people did the Nazis kill? A couple million? 7 million? 9 million? Something like crazy, absolutely bonkers. The numbers that were being thrown around what happened during World War II before. And they're referring to President Donald Trump as worse than Hitler. Let that sink in for a second. I really want you guys, especially the ones that don't support Donald Trump, the president. And you're okay. That's fine. You don't have to. I'm not here to try and convert you to something. But what I am here to do is make you think for yourself. Stop listening to political pundits and people who think that they got the answers and they're giving you the answers. Find out the answers for yourself. There's a nice quote, good quote, that basically says, believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see. There's, what do they also say? There's three sides of a story. Yours, mine, and the facts. Find out the facts. Find out the truth before you go and start making your mind up on things. When you turn on the TV or go on Facebook or wherever you guys are getting your news from or whatever it may be, find out for yourself. Do a little bit of research before you go and start throwing names at people and thinking that you're smarter than the next one. Because quite frankly, a lot of yous are really coming across as being, let's just say, un-American for now. This is going to get worse, guys. The next year, 2 years, possibly 4, 5 years from now, it could really, really get hairy. But it's up to us, all of us, every one of you. Find out the facts. Listen to the actual words. Read them for yourself. Find out the facts before you start doing something that can really, really, really turn this country into something that is dangerous for us all. We're living at a precipice right now, this country. We can go this way or we can go that way. It's our choice. But make sure you got the facts before you react at something. Now, on the flip of that, what I do want to add to the people that are starting to get frustrated with a lot of this, use the word, witch hunt, fake news, media propaganda. Don't do nothing crazy. Keep your head on your shoulders. Think before you react. Let's try and calm this country. Let's try and bring us all back to civility. A lot of people that may be watching this are too young to even remember. There was a day you never even talked about politics. You didn't tell nobody who you voted for. You never knew where someone's political stance was. That was something that was held personal and held dear to your heart. You kept that information quiet. We're being fed lies. And those lies are really going to only destroy one thing, and that's America. That's our foundation. That's where we live. Let's make this a home for everybody. Folks, this is the Patriotic Goomba. I really hope you stuck around and you listened to this. I apologize for my my reading abilities. I'm going to try and post a link at the bottom of this. Go and watch the press conference yourselves. And please, 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 facts first. Find out the truth before you start making up decisions and open up your mouth and coming across as I'm going to leave it there. I think that's probably the best thing. I'm trying to keep this very, very, very apolitical. Folks, have a wonderful night. I truthfully appreciate you watching. I really hope that you learn something and teach people. Teach people. That's what this platform is about, education. And I really hope you learned something from this. Everybody, again, this is the Patriotic Goomba. You all have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, be smart, use your head, and keep God in your soul. Ciao.